a year ago, I got to preview in Turin a very, very important electric car, which was a huge, exciting moment for me because as an ABARTH owner, I was extremely excited to find out that they would be making a fully electric ABARTH. Time has gone by and I have been dying to test drive this car. Finally, I've got my hands on the ABARTH 500e. But we're all here to see what it drives like. So, without wasting any more time, I'm going to put that roof down and let's take it for a little drive. So I really did think that there was no point spending ages looking around the exterior of the car because a lot of people know what the exterior already looks like. What we all want to know is how does this thing drive, because ultimately that is so important to ABARTH ownerships. It has to have that personality that the ABARTH has always had when you've driven it. Of course, Carlos ABARTH did start the ABARTH division of Fiat to be predominantly all about racing. Now I'm starting off. That sounds pretty good. It does sound like it needs to change up gear. But actually, I'm quite surprised at that. So it's getting pretty windy. May have to put the roof up in a second, we'll see. But currently, I'm enjoying it. It's all part of it, right? And I'm going to change the mode now because at the moment I am currently sitting in Turismo mode. Now Turismo mode limits the power of the ABARTH, so it limits it to around 145, doesn't give you the full power. But if we pop it in Scorpion Street, you instantly feel a bit more of a quicker acceleration, and then you have one last mode which is at the top, which is the Scorpion Track. Now this is the full attack mode, changes the personality of the car, and that is absolutely the mode that I'm going to be driving the ABARTH 500e in today.
The 500e gets a 152 brake horsepower electric motor, which is just a touch more than the petrol 500 could achieve, but a little bit behind the 595 Competizione. However, bespoke electric architecture, improved weight distribution, instant torque and wider wheelbase make the ABARTH 500e faster and more responsive than the petrol equivalent. Well, maybe not in a straight line to 62, which takes around 7 seconds, but it's considerably quicker to 30 and in the corners, arguably where the ABARTH has always been the most fun.
One of the things that was quite characteristic of the petrol version of the ABARTH was the steering. It was really quite heavy. And whilst the steering on this car is heavier than the Fiat 500 electric, it still doesn't have quite as much feedback as that car. In fact, when you used to put it into the Scorpionizia mode, it really liked to fight you. It was very, very heavy, and I liked that about it. It was a characteristic which was completely unique to ABARTH. So the fact that the steering is a little bit lighter, it's not personally to my taste, but actually I think how it is, how well weighted it is, will be pretty much perfect for people that perhaps it's their first time owning an ABARTH in this electric version. It's quite nice to drive around town. It is a little bit firmer, but again, it all kind of aids towards those characteristics, and I'm sure if you want a really soft, plushy, electric, small city car, then you're not going to go for this anyway. You're probably looking for a slightly compromised ride. And compromised, that's a word that I've used so much when I previously drove my ABARTH, because when I had a petrol version, one of the first things I realised is there's a lot of compromises. There wasn't much movement in the seats. The seats themselves were quite hard. The steering was heavy. There wasn't many kind of things in the way of safety systems, or just in general, there wasn't many technology pieces in the vehicle. Now the thing with this is it still feels compromised in a way of you have a stiffer suspension setup, the steering's heavier, it's kind of more involving. But what you don't have is those compromises when it comes to the spec, because this is really well spec'd. You've got a seat which actually moves, which to all ABARTH owners will know that that is a huge benefit, to actually be able to move the seat up and down so you're not just in one position. No longer is it just a car which is outdated and lagging behind in tech. This is right up there with all the best cars when it comes to tech, but you still have that stripped back driving feel. I actually think they've got it pretty spot on. There are things I think they could have done better, and for me personally that comes with some slightly stiffer steering, perhaps slightly better in the corners. There is a little bit of body roll, but actually as a whole I think they've nailed it.
Let's bring it back down to earth though, because what they haven't nailed is the price. The brand has always been about obtainable fun cars, but now with a starting price of just over £34,000, it's become a toy for the mega rich. Because it's not like the range of 164 miles or the charging speed of 85 kilowatts is anything to justify the price tag. It's a shame because it's arguably a great car to drive. And on that slightly sour note, let's check out the rest of the car.
Luckily, this time around, I haven't got to fight 200 journalists to be able to talk about the ABARTH, and I can even go inside as well, which I actually wasn't allowed to do when I first saw this car in Turin. Now, what the ABARTH 500e looks like has come as no shock, because of course it is built on the Fiat 500e, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's always been the way with the ABARTH 595. It's always been heavily based on the Fiat, but then it just has those sporty elements, and that's exactly the same as the electric edition. I personally think it looks really good. I like the way that it has the cutesy Fiat elements. So you've got those cutesy round lights which give it a bit of personality. And then to just make it look a little bit meaner, they've taken the LED lights that used to be at the top, or as they call it, the eyebrows, and they're now blacked off. So when you look at this car at night, you can kind of just see a frown from the car. It looks really cool. You've also got a different diffuser to the Fiat, and you've got that white bar which runs along the front. I wasn't too sure on the white to start with, but actually white has always been used in special editions of performance-based models, so I think it's quite a nice touch and it blends well with all the different colours. The colours of which this is my absolute favourite. So this is called the Poison Blue, and I think it looks really good. I don't know if I've just become a little bit kind of fed up of the green. It's been used so much, we've seen it so much, that it's nice to see it in a different colour. But actually we've been here and we've seen the white as well, which I'm really surprised as a girl who likes very bright cars. The white looks really fantastic. I think it may be the fact that the white allows it to highlight these great wheels. So the models that we're driving are the Turismo models, and that means they get 18-inch alloy wheels, which are pretty striking. You've also got that fantastic ABARTH electric badge, which I think looks very cool, finished in the green, and then you also have the lightning bolt which runs through the middle that you have on the rear quarter. The whole car as a package, I personally think looks pretty striking, and I'd be proud to drive a car like this. The interior I absolutely love. This is where I feel like a lot of the classic ABARTH feel has come through, with the steering wheel which feels super sporty. One of my favourite things about my Competizione was the Alcantara steering wheel, and you still have one on this Turismo version. But of course you've got the lime green electric ABARTH Scorpion in the middle, and you have got this lovely steering wheel. Bit of a stretch, but the designers reckoned that this part of the steering wheel before the Alcantara is supposed to look like the claws of the Scorpion. I think they're probably just reaching for that, but it still looks really fantastic. I like the mix of the chrome that you've got here, and then I love how you've got this coloured band which matches with the outside of the car, although depending on whichever car you go for, you get a blue band, so it helps that it matches with this one. The seats are lovely. So as far as I'm aware, they're not actually made by Saybelt anymore, but they are still Saybelt in their design, and they're really comfortable. Far more comfortable than the ones that I had in my Competizione. You've again got this bit of kind of chrome plastic, but it feels quite high quality plastic, which matches in with the steering wheel. And then I really love the way you've got this electric scorpion peeking through. And once again, you've got the contrasting blue and green stitching. I really, really like the interior. It feels very modern, very fresh, while still feeling like a classic Abarth. I think that owners of Abarths would be very happy with the interior. Of course, you do get the updated things, like you get the digital dashboard. You've now got a larger 10.25-inch screen, which has a new system. You'll be very glad to know, because of course the one on the previous generation Fiat and Abarth was pretty naff. Whenever the sun shined, you couldn't see it, especially when you had the roof down. This is a far better system. It's much easier to use, much easier to navigate and find things. Now, you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. You also get that wirelessly as well, which is nice. Get automatic lights, automatic wipers, cruise control, all as standard. And then if you go for this top spec Turismo, you get an extra few things, like you get some wireless charging, and you also get heated seats as well. But pretty much all in all, every version of the Abarth 500e comes very well specified. So there we have it. I finally got to drive the all-electric 500e, and I wasn't disappointed at all. Yes, perhaps it could have had a tiny bit more power, but the clue is in the name, 500e. It's not a 595, nor is it a 695, and that means that we could get those models with more power in the future. But as a start, I think it's absolutely fantastic. The driving engagement, the sound that it makes, it has all of those classic Abarth elements which give it so much personality. But let me know, what do you think of the Abarth 500e? Pop it in the comments down below. Perhaps the price is a bit too steep, and it's going to price out those people who have always been Abarth enthusiasts. Let me know your thoughts. If you've enjoyed the video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Want to see more? Then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys, see you later.